Alright, I got everything done that I needed to get done for now. Got the pilot skis on. 6.9s. Bit of a pain as usual, but you got to trim the stock Yamaha rubbers. You take 2 inches off the back. Got it right up on TY 4-stroke. One thing to remember is when you got to reverse the bushing, so always take the bushing out of the outer leg and put it in from the outside. So the way I remember it is outer leg, outer bushing, inner leg, inner bushing. So this is stock, this is changed. And the reason that kind of matters is because when you start driving this bolt through, it's going to be a pain in the ass for you if you put this bushing on from the inside, because every time you try to drive the bolt through, it's just going to drive the bushing out of the plastic, and it's a real pain in the ass. So I remember that from way back in the Apex days when we did the pilots. So so what I do is I take a stock washer, put it on the inside. I take a stock washer, put it on the outside, even though there's a bushing on the outside. I put it on there anyways, just so they match. And you leave your spacing the same. At least I do. I like the wider ski stance. And you trim the rubbers and then you put it together. It's a pain in the ass. You got to put some 2x4s onto the outside first to get the bolt started. Lift it back up, put some 2x4s under the inside, and then lower the sled, and it kind of like presses down on the rubber. I suppose I could have trimmed more rubber out of there, but they work. So pilots are on. What else did I do? Okay, so I did this little windshield bag, little Yamaha windshield bag. Not really that interesting, but what I like about it is it's really hard to get at actually with this low window, but I'll probably put the SE window on, which I have. It's a perfect size to tuck your paperwork into. It's kind of thin. I mean, it was probably back in the day, it was good for maps, but nobody really uses maps anymore, but it's good for maps, and it's good for paperwork. It should stay dry up there. I like that for that reason. And you don't really see it. It's kind of hidden. And I do have the SE window sitting up there, which actually I laid it on top just to check it. It's only just a little higher, but it comes up with a lip, and it's funny how close these handguards are, but nope. The way it turns, they don't touch, and even with the SE window, which is more out here, they don't touch. So so I did that. Changed over this. I got that stupid goggle bag out of there. That's just not smart to put that goggle bag in there, because there's a ton of heat that comes out of here off the engine. So goggle bag, toss that, put in a proper vent that they should come with, but they don't for the 50th. So I did the LEDs, handguards. These are the Pro Cross made by Cat. I got a couple small graphics that I'm going to cover the Arctic Cat with Yamaha. I went with the black. I kind of wish they were a matte black. They don't make a matte black. They only have gloss black. So they're probably going to scratch easy. Probably have to load them with some wax. But you can see how nice they look. What I kind of like is it kind of runs with this light. If you look at this light, it kind of follows this up. The signature headlight goes up to the signature LED handguards, which is kind of cool. Like that. And I dressed all the wiring in real nice. And I also have the GPS wiring in there. What I really like is, I mean, I almost went with the Power Mads, but I've used them before, and they've got that old school metal bracket here, which, you know, it's the same bracket I used way back in '06. I like these because these look real factory. This is all heavy duty. I mean, it's plastic, but they're very, very, very strong. I mean, these things do not move. So don't worry about them not being strong. And so I just think that looks nice from the top here, from the inside. Got a nice look to them. They're pretty big too. Like, they're definitely not too small. They leave a nice spacing for the race brake lever. And there's just enough room for the brake to work here. Like when you go to, you can see the shape of it. There's just enough room to like, it's designed for that. Obviously, it's an Arctic Cat, so they're designed for that. I'm kind of mocking up a, this is my old broken mirror, but this is a BRP mirror. And I'm going to use a screw here. And it should just fit inside there. So there's my view. It should be just good enough to catch my buddy's taillight in my mirror, which is really all I need. And I think I might only put one on, although it's fairly hidden. I mean, it's really hidden, so it's a pretty good setup. So obviously I did the GPS, 7-inch Garmin 2797. There's the view. I've got it kind of set up so you're kind of like just below the gauges. And really, this thing is massive. So, you know, we did some touring in Quebec at the end of last season, and this thing was just phenomenal. I actually took it off my sled and put it on the Polaris that I was demoing for that trip, which ended up having problems. But anyways, that's another story. This thing's just phenomenal. When I was in an area that I didn't know, I was able to just, you know, this is why I always talk about the size and being close to your face, because, you know, there's big trails up there, and you can be cruising on the trail, and you can really look at this, and you can tap on things if you need to, because it's all right here. I mean, I can't say enough about this thing. And unfortunately, you can't get them anymore. But I think there's still a 7-inch available out there. But it's such a nice setup. It just, I don't know if I can do it with one hand, but it literally pops out like that. So literally, you just pop it out, take it in the bar with you, and you can check your trails, check everything you're doing on your lunch break, and then come out, snap it back in, and it powers right up. So you really can't beat that. Got the heated shield already on there on the 50th, so I didn't have to put one of those in, which was nice. So the only wiring I had to do is my GPS, which I still have to finish down here, but I did run the LEDs a little bit different than they say. They actually show on the turbo having that LED transformer, the white box. They actually have it on this side, right above the massive amount of heat. And I know they had problems with them last year, so I felt like I'm not going to put it on that side. That's just ridiculous. That's the hottest part of the damn sled. So I put it right on this side, right there. So I kind of ran the wiring over to this side and then down under behind the steering post and over. So really the only thing going down the other side is just the wire. But this LED module, which I fear might be a little bit delicate, I put it over here. It's probably the coolest part of the machine, I'm assuming. At least it's cooler than right over the damn muffler. So so that's that. What did I do yesterday? Oh yeah, I put in the battery tender pigtail, and I can just tuck that right back there for normal riding. Obviously I put the Btx seat on. Now I went with a that's a 17 Btx seat. I actually like this one a little better. The 18s, which I probably even couldn't have got anyways right now, has all white back here and around the back. And even my stock seat had a big white piece and white around the back up here. And of course it had the big tail on the stock seat, which is really I don't like. So this one I just think looks nicer and it'll be cleaner, and it's just got the small white stripe then. And obviously it all still matches great. Over here, the reason I kind of decided to use this seat initially was it's about, God, it's got to be 3-4 inches shorter. And as you can see, with the 129, you're limited on tunnel space for your link system. So I've got the link brackets already. I just got to install those still. I'm not doing that big bracket, that big up north bracket. It's just I don't know, little bit gaudy for me because I'm going to ride a lot without it. So I'm going with the single brackets by Whiteout Technologies. Just single bracket, and then my link bracket goes on top of the single bracket. Got all the stickers off. Got all the warning stickers off here. It was really nice to buy a sled for once and not have to put a new track on it. This is the first time since 1999, actually, believe it or not, that I haven't had to put a track on it, because I put a track on my 06 Apex day one. I put a track on my I put a track on my Cat. I put a track in 12. I put a track on my 14 MXZ E-Tech. I put a track on my 16 4-Tech. So this is the first time I actually bought a sled and just did not have to put a track on. So I only spent a few hours working on it. It was really nice instead of like 3 days worth of crap. Got the four-wheel axle by J&T. Really nice. Anodized aluminum. I mean, he just did a nice job on that kit. Now this kit in particular on a RTX 129 is a 7.5 inch kit. Stock wheels, I measured them, are 7 inches, or just a hair over 7 inches, and these are 7.5. So the wheel rides up a little bit off the. I don't know if you can see that, but the track rides up off the slider a little bit, which is nicer than the stock setup. I did the now that I'm under here, I did the tunnel protectors too. So really nice. Those went in literally like 20 seconds. Well, maybe not 20 seconds, but they went in really fast. One suggestion on the tunnel protectors is to drill out the holes where the 3 screws go, because what Cat does when they make these is they, in my opinion, they leave the holes a little too small. So even if you're putting those screws in up on the bench ahead of time to kind of pre-thread them, they're way too tight. So take an 11/64 drill bit and open up those 3 holes, basically 1 hole at the end of each protector, and that will make the screw, then screw the screws in up on the bench and just get them threaded, and then take the screws out, put your epoxy in there, and then slide them in, and then the screws go in really nice and easy. Then slide them back forward so the screws are touching, and let them set up. So I did those. What else did I do yesterday? Yeah, I don't know what else I did. I think that's it. Oh, I know what else I did. I did the Barna Parts. Really, really, really nice belt guard. You can see 2 little screws there, and you can see 2 little screws there, and they look fine. They look great. Stainless steel cap head screw, or not cap head, but button head. So there you go. It bolts to the bottom rotor bolt there in the back, and it presses down into the foam real nice, and then the front compresses into the foam real nice. And you put the 2 bolts, and then you got the upper piece. Really nice upper piece. So now if I blow a bell, I don't have to worry. Oh, and I siliconed everything. There was quite a bit of little spots where water could come in on this left side. You always want to silicone that for the clutches. We do a lot of water crossing, so you don't want any water. You just get a couple of drops up in there, and then it flies around where the clutches are, and your belt gets a little moist, and next thing you know, you're over revving and you're sinking. I haven't sunk one yet, but I've seen many go down. So I don't know how well this shows up, but as you can see, I've been doing a little bit of design work on my, let me get this panel out of here. I've been doing a little bit of design work on my CAI, cold air intake. And so I took the huge, massive, intrusive air box off. Okay, so what we got is we've got this pipe right here. This is the intake. 2.5 inch diameter, outside diameter. And what we've got here is, this is a breather that's cut like that on a long angle, and that just goes over to the top of the engine. It's just a breather, like above the valves, above the cams. There also there's another one here. I'm going to try to grab it. So there's also this one here. Now this one has a clamp on it. It's probably not going to focus. Okay, I don't know if you can see that, but that's got a clamp on it. They're both about the same size, 1/4 inch tubing. So this one goes down to the to all the where the other ones go down in the front. I think those are all your sensors. Now this could be, I've heard that this is probably the air intake temperature tube or vent tube. So I think it gets info from there on the temperature. I don't know for sure if that's right, but that's what I think it is. So this one's probably not as important to be hooked up, but this one probably is. But I'm going to try to hook them both up when I make my CIA. I mean, basically, everybody's doing it the same. CIA? CAI. Cold air intake. Not CIA. So basically probably just a 90-degree silicone elbow is most of the guys are using. Or you can put a silicone adapter on here and use a 90-degree aluminum elbow. I've got a couple little tricks I want to try. And what you want to try to do is get that filter up there close to where that intake is. However, some of these kits, like I won't mention names, but the very first kit that probably was on the market, I had one and I looked at it. We got one for Tom, and in my opinion, it just was too massive. I believe he went up to like a 3-inch silicone hose and this huge filter. So you basically blocked. I mean, you know what I mean? It just it worked okay, but you block all your airflow. That's the way I'm kind of thinking of it. So if this is 2.5, I don't see any reason to go more than 2.5. So I'm going to keep this 2.5, and I'm going to try to bring it upwards high enough so it gets good flow, but I want to leave a channel open underneath here so this air just blows massively right down into these clutches. And you can see once you get that box out of there, it'll easily just flow. Yeah, I popped the clutch off too. You know, I just felt like it was a lot easier to pop the clutch off and put this belly pan protector in by drilling from the inside rather than taking this shock off. For me it was, because I'm always popping clutches off, and it's a brand new sled, so the clutch just popped off instantly. So I did that yesterday too. I almost forgot about that. Nice clutch. barely ever used. Really hasn't been used. You can kind of see there's not even a, it's like one belt run on top of the stand, that's it. Yep. Everything's all the same on that as far as last year and this year, as far as I saw, the same springs. I did look at these rollers, and from what I remember of Tom's machine, his rollers look different. So I don't think these rollers, these look more like a cat roller or like a Ski-Doo roller. They almost look like they're brown in color. And they're more just squared off rather than tapered like the originals. So I don't know if those were the updated ones or not, because I never saw the updated ones, but I'm going to run them for a while before I put my OSP rollers in. So I got pretty much all that done. I got a million other things to do, like stud it. There's that Polaris shorty brake lever. You know, I've got the OSP. Here's the OSP rollers. Here's the OSP belt adjuster. Here's the 3335 helix. There's a 22 top gear. The orange secondary spring. There's the glide washers. So I got a ton of stuff there, and I've got a whole bunch of parts up here too. But let's see what else I got here that's going in. Oh yeah, I got some other goodies. I got a little thing called a flasher cable, and I've got my beautiful STM 60YS cam arms. Those are the ones Alan Ulmer uses, so I'm gonna play around with those this winter. Got those goodies, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff in here. Oh yeah, these are a whole whack of clutch springs. So there's that air box. That's the one thing I wanted to finish telling you guys about. So here's the inside of the air box, right? And here's the front vent tube that goes to the that I believe is the intake temperature sensor, and here's the one that goes to the breather. Now, funny thing is you see this one's a nipple, so this gets the clamp on it. So I think that's the most important one. This one here is just a breather. It just shoves right in this hole. That's just a hole. So it just shoves in there. It's not sealed or anything. I mean, it's a fairly tight fit because it's a perfect size, but that's why I think this is not as big a deal, because it's just a breather. I think a lot of guys just vent that right to the atmosphere. I don't think it's a big deal, but I'm going to try to build my CAI with both of them. So that's that. Here's the stock, and you can kind of see why this thing is, I mean, this is a foam filter. This is not a K&N free-flowing filter. So you can see why this cold air kit makes such a huge difference. Because you just can't, you can't suck massive amounts of air through a foam filter instantaneously. It's, this is all about throttle response. So this is why you don't have foam filters in cars and stuff. I mean, this is just not performance. So, and then that's just the cover. So I think the cold air intake's going to be interesting. Oh yeah, I got something real fun right here too, which isn't going in, but I figured maybe I'll show you guys just real quick in the video. Ha ha ha. Isn't that nice? Yep, she looks stock, but she's not stock. She's 2.5 top to bottom. We're talking massive, yet sounds stock. Yep, this is fun to do, holding the camera, guys. Okay, there we go. Got the O2 plug in if I need it. I want to hook something up later. Very nice work, Benjamin hooked me up with a beautiful muffler, so thank you, sir. Appreciate that very much. And I will do a separate write-up on that because I'm just a big proponent of quiet yet performance. And as shown by Beer Man over on TY 4-stroke with his amazingly, massively beautiful thread with video and pictures on all the performance mufflers and stock mufflers for the Sidewinder. So you guys got to go over there and check out that thread and his video. He did a wonderful job on that. Appreciate that very much. So we've kind of talked a little bit through PMs and we I personally knew I wanted this muffler pretty much from the get-go, because there's a couple other ones that are really nice out there, and they're probably all very similar. I do like the Sandale stock modded, and Dave's got a real nice one too, and Dave's also got a replica which is coming out very soon. But you know, Ben did a really nice job on this, and he's been doing these for a while now. He did them actually starting at the beginning of last year and put it on a video, and I just thought the sound was great right from the beginning. So it's still going to be really, you know, very straight through as far as power. 2.5 inch should make really close to the typical 2.5 inch aftermarket muffler, which is much louder. You're probably going to end up being about 5 horsepower shy, maybe max, which, you know, when you're talking the difference between 280 and 275 or 270 and 265, does it really matter? I mean, maybe if you're racing your buddy with the exact same setup and he's got the muffler and you got a stock modded, you know, maybe he's going to take you by a half a sled length, but I don't know. I'll go with the one that's, I guess as I age, I want to get a little more legal and a little less, maybe more user-friendly. Maybe that's a better way to put it. All right. Can't think of anything else, guys. I just wanted to do a kind of an overall video of what's been done so far and what's going on. I like to document this stuff. So, by the way, anybody ever use this stuff? This stuff's phenomenal. This Plexus. I always notice when I pick up my sleds from my dealer, he just does such a nice job, and they're so clean, and they smell good too. So I always see this stuff, and now it's expensive. I think I grabbed this off eBay, but it's still like $18 a can, but it'll last forever. It's just amazing. It basically takes place of wax and cleaner and everything. It cleans those white panels amazing. It also kind of leaves a wax coat. You kind of rub it in. You can do everything with it. Okay. That's it for now, guys. And we will talk again later. Probably up north when I'm putting in studs. And I don't like to stud the sleds before the season gets going, because this beginning of the season is so bad and there's so much road running and the lakes aren't ice yet. So I hold off on studding usually till like end of January or so. Get some miles on it on the crummy trails at first and the road running. Glad I got those skis on now, so that's done. Got most of the small stuff done. I do have a bunch of other stuff coming that I'm probably going to do this week if it arrives. I'm going to do some graphic work in here, basically just to kind of help keep it cleaner. I got a couple little things I'm going to put on there, graphic-wise, and I got my registration numbers coming. And I'm sure there's about 20 other things that I'm forgetting, but been going nuts since the thing arrived. Okay, see you later. Rocker Dan out.